Okay, it is, folks. TYTs anti-DEI rant. This was a couple, uh, 3 weeks ago, I guess, 2 weeks ago. And this is a school district. New York look into the fierce culture. This is in New York. I don't know the name of the article. I don't know what to get this article from. This is from an article. I don't know. But the article itself is kind of fishy. This is their rant. This is crazy. This is their anti. This is an anti-rant, anti-DEI. They call it a culture war. It's not a culture war. I mean, they're doing a culture war. What this is just this is just a DEI gone wrong. There's a lot of problems with DEI, but I think it's necessary. I think DEI is good, but these guys just hate. These guys are really. They say they like DEI. They don't really. They're against. These are against TYTs, against affirmative action. They already said that, and they're against DEI. But they say they're for it. But you always say, "Oh, I like it," but there are these problems with it. There's a lot of problems with it, man. They don't say like, "Oh, in general, there's problems," but in general, it's pretty good. I mean, the problem with this situation is more like it's corruption. It's corruption. It's not DEI itself. The way it's run, and it's the. I mean, there's random problems. It's not in this school district, but certain workplaces, there are gonna be problems. It's not run properly, and but it's not the program itself. But these days, according to these guys, she's saying that let the students, just teach them whatever, let them, teach them, let them be taught the basics. But they're saying that to them they would do away with DEI eventually, if you really look at it. That's what they're really saying. They want to do away with. They're like they were at Fox News or the Daily Wire. That's what they say. Was it Matt Walsh or somebody else made a comment about black airline pilots, and they're not qualified. This guy is making some of the racist remarks. I think it's a Daily Wire, I think. I mean, or Dave Rubin, one of these guys. I mean, so it's such. But they're the same view with TYT. You believe it or not. But anyways, we're gonna go on. Let this play out.
Culture wars that have been playing out at Amherst Regional Middle School in Massachusetts, and man,
okay, Amherst Regional School, Massachusetts. Okay.
Has it been a nightmare? So it's tearing teachers, administrators, students, and parents apart, and it really has to do with identitarianism and which group in the hierarchy should be cared for the most. And of course, that leads to conflict. So here's a little background about the school itself. Just over 12% of the city's residents are Black or Hispanic.
Okay, 12% Black or Hispanic. Okay, the residents, city's residents, 12% Black or Hispanic. Okay.
70% are white and roughly 13% are Asian. So those are the demographics in that area, in that school district.
But 70% white and 30 Asian, they said. Outside most of the area. That's what she's saying. Like the wider area.
The public school district is more racially diverse than the wider community. About a quarter of students are Black or Hispanic, in part because of the number of white and Asian families that opt for private or charter schools. So the white and Asian students are going to private or charter schools. They're focusing on academics. Then you look at this public school, and they're riddled with culture war nonsense. Okay, and because of that culture war nonsense, you have various groups basically at war with one another because their interests are in conflict with one another. So, and I should note that this is a very liberal area of the country, and so. Go ahead, Cenk.
There's identity politics that is played on the left. And this story is a really interesting intersection where those identity politics clash.
Yes.
And then people don't know what to do because they're making decisions not based on logic or facts, but based on identity. And that's what gets to the absurdity of sometimes the extreme left and what it has resulted in. Unfortunately, this is an
It's not the extreme left.
So around 24.
These not So I don't think these are extreme left people. I mean, these administrators and these probably like Democratic liberals. I mean, go into the culture wars, but this is not like a culture war. This is like you can say all this is. You can say everything's a culture war. Then all DEI programs are culture war in that sense. I mean, but it's not the extreme left. Everything is the extreme left with TYT. It's the extreme left fault. The extreme left doesn't care about culture wars like this. They don't care about this shit. I mean, what some of the extreme left online more left than these guys. They don't care about this shit. They don't bring up random stories like this. I mean, there are other urgent issues. Basically, like liberals, like the Fox News, bring this up, and people like and MSNBCs bring this up. They bring up culture wars like this.
14, a gentleman by the name of Michael Morris became assistant superintendent, and
Not even MSNBCs, but you see like other leftist shows, or liberal shows, I should say. They bring something like this. They do it against, and the Democrats. In fact, they do it. They do it to bring up to go against the Republicans. So I guess MSNBC does bring it up. So it's something like this. They'll not like in this manner. They bring up like a Republican governor doing something crazy against trans people, and they bring that up. So the culture wars is like both sides, the Democrats and the Republicans, do that shit. Like the liberal content creators who go along with the vote for the DMCs. And they do the culture wars. They do all this shit. But the real leftists, they don't do this. I don't think they do this. You might have activists going in, and leftist activists, the far left. You might see them for a reason they do it. I mean, but a story like this is not they don't do this. They're more like these people are less like they're like liberals. They're not far left.
Decided to introduce a new administrative role at this school, okay? The Assistant Superintendent of Diversity, Equity, and Human Resources. So in 2017, he ends up hiring a woman by the name of Doreen Cunningham, who is Black, for the role. Under Cunningham, Amherst instituted a two-step hiring process that was actually meant to increase diversity among workers at this middle school. Okay, that was the whole point. It was like a double-blind hiring process. One committee would choose candidates and another asked the applicants a uniform set of questions. Resumes were not reviewed ahead of time as part of this hiring process. And the two committees did not communicate with one another about the applicants that they were reviewing and considering for positions within the school. Now, to Cunningham's credit, this did in fact increase diversity within the school. So Cunningham said that she trained everyone. Anyone who was going to be part of the committees was trained to look at their bias. Multiple district employees told me that Cunningham often screened the candidates herself, though, and made final decisions, even overruling principals at times. She denied this, saying, quote, "I'm not the one who hired anyone."
No, the rest of the article seems to indicate she was the one that hired anyone. So you have your first absurdity here, where she says, "I'm going to train all of you guys because I don't want you to have any bias. We want these hiring decisions to be perfect." They go through the whole training, etc. And then she's like, "Yeah, ignore that. I'm just hiring them. Go, you. I like you guys. Come on."
Yeah. No, it's...
Come on.
Now, by 2023, the percentage of minority staffers at Amherst District went from 20% to 34%. So there was an increase in diversity. It's just that it appears that she hired some of her friends.
Of course.
So that's the problem there. She hired some of her friends. That's the problem. It's not the DEI itself, but she's hired. So this woman's a problem. So why don't they just fire the woman? I mean, if this woman itself is a problem, not because they hired more minorities staff, so that's the problem. Seems to me like turns out this one woman's a problem. I mean,
And her friends had certain culture war biases.
it's good old fashioned nepotism. It's not well, she hired. It's not DEI. Like she hired I mean, not the program. You guys want to get rid of it. I know you guys want to get rid of it. Just say it. You don't like DEI. You don't like affirmative action. No, you said you don't like affirmative action, but just say you don't like DEI. Be honest. Come on. When'd you guys be honest with your bigotry? I mean, come on, Anna. You don't like having. No, there's anti-black racism here somewhere.
That conflicted with certain identities represented within the student body.
Yeah. Look, it's one thing if you're going to do DEI, and we've got our issues with the way some of that is implemented. It's another.
How it's implemented? Oh, you don't really like it. Just say it, Cenk. You guys don't like DEI.
Thing when you say you're going to do DEI and then you just hire your friends, okay, and then that makes everyone hate DEI 10,000 times more. Okay, so there's a layers of problems in this story. Go ahead.
Also, I should note that many of the new hires, who happen to be, a more diverse group of employees, were paraprofessionals. I've never heard that word before, but apparently they're low-paid hourly employees who provide support to credentialed, like full-time faculty.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to the DEI thing for one more second too, Anna, because look, I think that a lot of people, including myself, to be honest, are starting to get the sense that, wait, is DEI actually to help minorities across the country? Because I'm in favor of that. Or is it to help elite African Americans and minorities get the jobs they want, right? Mm-hmm. And so, again, that's why this story...
Elite African American... So I thought it was all the far left. So you say, they're elite African Americans. Well, it's to help everybody, I guess. I mean, not just... they're to help minorities. I mean, maybe some of them might be elite. It's here to help everybody, I guess. You can't just, discriminate, I guess. So I guess in the certain high levels of education, also there's DEI, I guess. I mean, they have a DEI program. I mean, so you won't have any, so there shouldn't be any DEI programs for, like elite education. I mean, any kind of elite job, shouldn't be any DEI. There should only be like white males. I mean, this is a school district, so there shouldn't be, I see what you're saying, that they're elite. They're like elitists. So I don't know, to help minorities. To help the only poor minorities, I guess. Like poor minorities teachers, I guess. Or lower class, lower skill, not lower skill, but on the lower end. I mean, I don't know what's to help all minorities, right? That's what it's DEIs and affirmative actions for. But you guys are against affirmative action, that's right.
Is an interesting example because she just uses DEI as an excuse to hire her Black and Latino friends. I like the idea of Blacks and Latinos being hired, but not because they're your friends and you use DEI as an excuse.
Exactly, I totally agree with you on that. Karina Mayfield, who leads the science department at ARMS, that's the...
So this has nothing to do with DEI. This is something to do with plain old corruption. I mean, it's like it seems like it was all white. See, it wasn't DEI. It was all white district. It's a white school. See, a white private school, and it's like somebody hiring her friends, like hiring their family or their friends, nepotism. Instead of qualified people, they're hiring. It's the same thing. Same look at the alumni the universities. They do it with affirmative actions, but they're still hiring their white friends. I mean, They're not even qualified. This is the same thing. See if it was in DEI. This is just like a normal, like nepotism. This is what this is. Hiring all their friends, and not less, they're not qualified people. But because it's DEI, see, this was a normal business with just hiring bad practices. Like it was like all white. Say this will be nothing. This will be a nothing story. But because there's DEI, this is a big controversy. This is what they want, and the media focuses on this. I don't know who reads the story. This article from. Oh, the New York. Oh, here it is. Jessica. It's a New Yorker. So these guys are kind of so-called corporate media. These guys are not left. This is not a leftist. Okay, this is a liberal. Okay, this is a liberal newspaper, kind of liberal. It's more like a corporate, kind of right wing. Depends. They're more right wing. New Yorker's more. Some stories are right wing. So this is more Jessica Winter. I think she's kind of more. See, this is like a this. See, this is like a right wing. This is like a right wing talking point. It's kind of bent. This is kind of biased. These guys are kind of right wing. Got some of the stories. This is a corporate media. So they're like liberal conservative Democrats. These guys vote Democrats. New Yorker. See these more like Democrats. So they probably support Biden. So these are conservative Democrats. This New Yorker, this paper, right? Been around for years. Jessica Winters, New Yorker. See, so they're kind of bent more to the right than the center. The typical corporate media. They like CNN, but CNN wouldn't do a story like this kind of. Even CNN wouldn't be. These are more left. CNN is more. They're like kind of more left. CNN they wouldn't do a story like this. The New York Times wouldn't do a story like this either. See, she got it from the New Yorker. They wouldn't do a story like this. Sometimes they do.
Describe the push for diversity as more performance than reality, saying, quote, "I'm a prop to support the numbers that Doreen is putting forth."
This is a garbage story, folks. This is more like, there's nothing to do with DEI. This is like more like nepotism. That's what this is. If it was like a normal workplace, say say it's mostly white, mostly one race, and they hire their family and their friends. That's what it's like. And there's corruption there. Can you do that?
No, are BS because there's no distinction between faculty and paraprofessionals. Now, Cunningham has responded to the critique by arguing that people are racist and that they're afraid of Black women in leadership roles. She was, by the way, placed on leave last May, and her employment was eventually terminated in October.
She's probably right. There's racism there. Come on. But you don't push that off. Somebody like Anna Kasper, she pushed that off. She doesn't believe that. I mean, she probably despises Black women.
Filed a discrimination complaint.
I know he despises Black women. Like a lot of these, I don't know, some white females despise Black women. I mean, definitely there. It's a lot of anti-Black racism, sorry. I mean...
against the district after they let her go. Now, there was also 2 religious employees that she had hired, right? And those religious employees ended up getting investigated due to their treatment of transgender students. So one of those employees was Hector Santos.
I was in the commentary, I read the comment, and one guy said, somebody saying, how is there a trans student in the middle school? I mean... And that's a good question. How is that? This makes this kind of fishy, but I guess maybe now they use puberty blockers. But I think at a certain age though, they're allowed to use. I don't know if they could. they do it. They start at a certain age. And so maybe they're like 12, I guess 12 years old or even before that. I don't know. But they were like 10, 11 years old, right? Or at least. So how old is there a trans student in the middle school? That's a good question. Somebody's in a commentary. I looked in the comments. So I read the comments that are basically agreeing with Anna. Where there's some dissent. So I guess they're saying that how this story is not credible. It's kind of fishy. I mean, the whole thing. I mean, like that story with a trans student. And I think a lot of people, a lot of Christians push back against this. Is what they're gonna say about, because they're gonna teach prayer or something. They're gonna force Christianity, the religious belief on the students. And people on the comments are saying that they're pushing back against this. What you gonna say? Really?
And Delinda Dykes, who is Black. Again, deeply religious, did not seem to respect the transgender students. Both were perceived as close with Cunningham. They were seen constantly conversing with Cunningham around the campus. Now, many people allege that both Dykes and Santos brought religion into the school. Dykes told colleagues and students that she would pray for them, or if they were facing some dilemma, ask if they had prayed on it. According to a Title IX investigation, Santos brought up the Bible and Jesus when speaking with students. And again, they weren't very friendly to transgender students. A cartoon that Santos had shared on Facebook showed a hand with stigmata protecting two children from a downpour of rainbow-colored paint, along with the text in Spanish that read,
okay, so it's more than just a prayer. Because somebody in the commentary said that they're just praying, so what's the big deal? But it's more than that. It's kind of more than that, folks. The amount of protection through the... Yeah, but what a good question, though. Like I said before, how is a trans student in the middle school? That's a good question. I mean, I don't know.
My 4-year-old son tells me that he wants to dress up as a princess. I will tell him no, because he was born a boy, and boys are princes.
Okay, so here we go. The clash begins.
It begins, yes.
Now, if you're a rational person, as we like to think we are, you're going to say, but who was right and who was wrong, right? So I don't care that the employees were Black or Latino and the kids were trans. I care, who's right. Tell me the facts. But for the extreme left, this becomes a problem because they're like, well, we're in favor of Blacks and Latinos, but we're also in favor of trans people. What do? We're stuck.
What a garbage. This is garbage, folks. Oh my God, this is garbage. Oh my God. I guess you have to be favored. You can't be favored. You're not stuck. I guess you can't really teach religion in the school. If it's religion, that's the easy one. Doesn't matter what, Black or Latino. And they're sensible. They're not like most leftists. They're not like that, folks. I don't think they are. But these are not leftists. These are not leftists anyways. These are like PMC class, moderate whites, or Black people, moderate or whatever. Yeah, they're Black. No, they're minorities, right? So they're probably Democratic, like moderates, like liberals, okay, you said they're using identity politics. Well, it's not about identity politics. It's more about corruption, nepotism, and corruption. And this is about a religion. But this is not if they're white. So if they're all white, if they weren't Black or Latinos, they're white. It wouldn't be wrong then. We just say it would be wrong what they're doing. I mean, to the trans kid, right? See if it was a white teacher doing this, wouldn't it be wrong? But why is it a big deal? It's the Black and Latino students. This is garbage. It's a big deal. Why is this article a big deal? I mean, this goes on a lot. This shit goes on a lot. I mean, this nepotism, and even the trans students. That goes on a lot. These guys know this. In the red states, you know, the laws against trans people, that goes on a lot. I mean, they talked about it. So this is no big deal. So it happens to a black, just because of that, they're doing it. Black, like Latinos, like they're black, okay, the black and Latino doing it to a trans doesn't mean that they're surprised by it. I mean, it happens. Because yeah, because they're black, they're Latinos, the conservatives, blacks and Latinos in the South, right? And they do this too against the trans. So there's no big deal. Why is it this big surprise? I guess these, so they're not living liberals. They're probably conservatives. I don't think they're liberals. These people, the so-called the people are talking about these teachers, the faculty members. They're deeply religious. They're probably they're more like conservatives. See, it makes sense now. They're not really liberal. They're not leftists. You say they are. So this is why. See, it's a bullshit story. You said they're leftists. They're not leftists doing this.
You're not stuck. Just see who's right. So in this case, look, it's complicated because you can't, if you're a liberal, you can't say, I want blacks and Latinos to be.
They're not liberals. They're not liberals because they're really, liberals are not this conservative. I mean, they wouldn't go, they're not this conservative. Teaching a religion. You don't see a liberal, like, how would you never see a liberal teacher doing this. I mean, there's no stories of like this. There's no stories of liberal teachers teaching Christianity in school. I mean, you hear them are conservative the most. See, these people are conservative. So this is misleading. This article is misleading, folks. These guys are
be represented,
misleading.
But I don't want their culture. Because remember, blacks and Latinos generally are a little bit more religious than the average bear, okay? And the average person in the country. So you're going to get a part of their culture when you hire them. So
okay, but no, look, listen.
Okay,
they're
I'm only saying how to save money.
I respect the religious views, right? But when you're talking about a public school, your religious views have to stay at home. Okay, you're not allowed to promote your religion or force your religion upon the students within that campus. You're just not allowed to do that.
Yeah. So I was going to get to the but, right?
So why is it?
On the one hand, you can't.
So why is it okay? Why is it a big deal with the black and Latino students? So why don't do other? I guess they have, but there's countless other schools that were like white teachers who push their religions on kids too. But this is a big deal because it's a black and Latinos, it's minority students, minority teachers doing this. I guess that's why this is a big deal. I guess. I mean, you don't often see that. But this is like, but this doesn't happen that much. I don't think so. But this is but if you're really concerned about it, should be, why don't you do more stories on this? I mean, why this should be, if you're concerned about religion, concerned about the trans students, which they're not really concerned about them. Virtual signaling. But why don't they do more stories on kids, students, teachers forcing their religion on kids, teaching their religion? Well, they did one with PragerU a couple months ago, but that was good. But if this is a big thing, and there's probably a lot of stories on, a lot of districts. A lot more stories than this one. It's because it's Latinos and blacks doing this. I mean, this goes against the DEI argument. This is a thing, a non sequitur. This is a thing, a meme to go against DEI. So they're really against it. They're not for it. That's what this does. That's what this story is all about.
Be horrified by their religious beliefs, etc. You don't get to say, hey, I want to hire you, but I want you to act white. Okay? On the other hand, if you're in that community, I respect your religion, but you don't get to bring it into the school. That's not how it works. That's unconstitutional, and it's not fair to the students that aren't Christian. And in this case, it's super unfair to the trans students who don't need you talking about stigmata and all that nonsense. So you don't get to say, hey, I'm black or Latino, and hence I'm going to bring the religion into the school. No. But
You're
a lot
not
of
allowed
times,
to do that. It's that
yeah,
simple.
but a lot of times white liberals have trouble because they're generally, sometimes they're patronizing. And so they're like, ooh, what do we say to them? Just talk honestly with them.
White liberals have trouble because for the most part, they tend to be pretty privileged, okay, pretty well-to-do, okay, and are hyper-focused on the culture war stuff, which is typically driven.
You're right, liberals, white liberals, not leftists. So she gets it. I think she gets it right. Believe it or not. Believe it or not, she gets it right. It's liberals. It's upper class liberal. It's not even liberals. It's more centrists, moderate whites. And this is but she calls this a cultural war. That means every DEI program is a cultural war then. Potential cultural war. I mean, this is just a thing gone. This is one program that's gone bad because of hiring practices, and they hire their friends. I mean, so that means they should get rid of the program, I guess. Go back to all white teachers, all white staff, I guess. Yeah.
By their unending guilt.
Mm-hmm.
So just be a freaking human being. Treat the freaking students with respect, okay? And can we please just hire the most qualified people to do the job? Because kids can't even freaking read. And
the most high-fied people. So that means white, I guess, Anna, right? She don't believe in DEI. The most qualified. But they were qualified, right? No, the teacher, no, they weren't qualified. She hired her friends, okay. She's exploded. Oh, what a Karen. He's such a Karen. The most qualified, that means they don't agree with affirmative action. See, these guys, they don't believe in DEI. But they don't believe in affirmative action. That's why. That's why you know that they don't believe in it. They don't, because if you don't believe in, say it doesn't make sense. So you don't believe in affirmative action, but do you believe in DEI? See, DEI is more like affirmative action in a way. So it doesn't make any sense. Why would you, if you don't believe in, that means you don't believe in DEI. So why don't you say you don't believe in it? Be honest.
having a discussion about is the double-blind hiring process increasing diversity when the person who's implementing this policy isn't even following it and deciding to hire her friends instead?
Yeah, 100%.
Ridiculous.
If you didn't have the needless white guilt, if you didn't have a patronizing attitude, you would just simply say, no, you can't tell a trans student that God is looking out for that person, and if they listen to God enough,
So it was white guilt. Yeah, really white guilt.
they'll turn around
You know
and be
what?
straight. That's not close. Of course, you can't say that in a public school.
So one of those
This
religious
is
counselors,
garbage.
Santos, kept misgendering the transgender students, and then blamed it on English being a second language. Okay, it might be some language barrier stuff.
By the way,
You were hired as a counselor at a middle school where you're supposed to counsel students in English.
yeah.
What are we doing?
And I hear you. Look, but if he just screwed up a couple of times and said the wrong gender, there's no new giant magazine article about it. We're not talking about it here. It wasn't just that he misgendered a couple of times.
They faced a
They
Title
misgendered.
IX investigation,
Yeah.
and the Title IX investigation was damning. The results were damning. We're gonna get to that.
Hey man, so he misgendered. Really? So you guys do this? You guys don't? So what you guys care about misgendering? You're full of crap. You guys don't care about that. Remember cisgender? Remember cis woman? Cis woman and yeah, cis woman. They call her. She got triggered by somebody calling her cis woman. That article. Well, I think her doc. No, somebody called her cis woman. I mean, she got triggered by that. I mean, so now you care about pronouns. They don't really care about pronouns.
Just a second. I'm going to give you a specific example of one of the transgender students. Pseudonym here, not a real name, but Joe goes by Joe in the piece. So Joe was allegedly relentlessly bullied by some of the students at this middle school. But there was a problem because the students went unpunished for the bullying that was taking place. Joe and their mother continued to report incidents of alleged bullying and harassment to various staffers at ARMS. Although one boy received a suspension, Joe and their mother were dismayed that the school did not mete out more consequences. Now, why? Why did they not mete out more consequences? This is where I rip my hair out of my head. Like many other progressive school districts, Amherst uses restorative justice practices, which prioritize let's mediation and reconciliation over punishment, meaning nothing, meaning no action. Okay, don't feed me this BS about like, oh, we did mediation. No, they're relentlessly bullying the transgender student. Okay, you can take your mediation and shove it up your ass because this kid feels unsafe on campus because you guys want to do your cutesy little restorative justice. That's what's happening on this campus.
Yeah, and so guys, again, if it was just one case and a kid says, "Hey, I feel uncomfortable," it's less clear.
Restorative justice, really. I like to see I like to go into this. What is it they're talking about? I mean, I don't know what the restorative justice is. What they're doing. I mean, what exactly they're doing. So I don't know. I'm not gonna go into it because it might be. Maybe it might work. I mean, maybe this case is not working, but maybe it did. Maybe it was some other cases. So maybe some cases that might work. I mean, this case is not working, I guess. But I don't know if you think they should just get rid of it. That's what they're saying. So I don't know, but I have to go. I need more research on that. I'm not gonna take her word for it.
Based on the circumstance, I would have believed that kid, but still you could say, hey, I'm not sure.
This case is not working.
But it is not one case. It is several trans students who have experienced the same thing. As Anna said, there was an investigation,
really?
And it makes the story a little bit clearer. But here we have this feelings.
I have to go into that if that's true. Yeah, maybe it is. I mean, but I'd like to see what their program is. We need to go into that and see. And there's an investigation. That's what they're saying. So what
of the trans community, which can be quite sensitive at times, right? But in this case, appear to be incredibly legitimate, right? Versus restorative justice. So what's a leftist to do?
You have diversity hires who are deeply religious and anti-trans versus transgender students who feel unsafe versus, honestly, the majority of the bullies are described as Black and Latino. So then you have the Black and Latino students who are being protected by the counselors and by the school because they really want to implement restorative justice. And guess what? No one's happy. And this is not an environment that's conducive to learning, which is what the school is supposed to be about.
Yeah, and look, I'm jumping ahead a little bit.
So Black and Latinos. So I guess the trans people are white students? Is that like black and white? So you're saying this is black and white. Blacks versus white. That's what you're saying. See, they haven't mentioned they haven't mentioned the Latino, the trans students. Are they white or black? I'd like to know. Why they won't say it? See? It's kind of misleading there. Maybe they're black students, the trans persons. You know what I mean? I'd like to find out that if they are black, if they are Latinos themselves, then this is totally different. But they make it like all the black people against the white trans. That's what they're saying, folks. This is bullshit. I think it's fishy. It's more nuanced what they're saying. These guys don't tell all the story. They don't have all the facts. They lay out certain facts I don't know about. This sounds fishy. It's bullshit. I mean, this is like a cultural war. All this DEI, you don't believe in DEI anyways. This is like affirmative action. You guys don't believe in affirmative action.
But near the end of the story, then the parents get so upset, the white parents, they start going seemingly after all the minority teachers.
So white, so they are white. The trans people are white, okay.
And staff, and they get to
so you care about so now you care about trans people being harassed. Really? So this is interesting. Like how many times there's stories of how many there's stories of black trans people being harassed and beaten up, and you guys say nothing about that. Be interesting. I mean, and there's stats. I think she pointed out in Oleanati she made a stat that there's a stat that she read. Like most of them are the trans people get harassed and beat up by black trans persons, and the general it's in the statistics, they're mostly black trans women that get beat up and harassed. But now they can't see where's the stories of that. Being stories of trans black people beaten up. See, this is another thing of this reverse racism theme the TYTs doing. I mean, all to the bad black Latinos and black people. And it's all because they don't believe in affirmative action, folks. They don't believe in DEI. So it makes sense why they go after they do a story like this.
Black teacher and a staffer who didn't do anything wrong, and then they start thinking about doing an investigation of her. Stop using people's identities as a way of judging them. I don't care if they're black or Latino or trans. I care if they're right or wrong. Okay, that black staffer happened to be a wonderful person who was trying to bring everybody together, right?
You don't care if they're black or white, really. This is all garbage. The virtual signaling, because you don't care about trans people anyways. You do about trans sports, how trans women are ruining sports, ruining high school sports. They sound like right wingers, and they do a story like that. I mean, not stories of that. Now they care about trans people. It's bad. Like, actually, this is bad. They're getting beat up. If it's being harassed, that's terrible. But I'm saying these guys are kind of hypocrites. I mean, they're concerned about this two trans kids, which is they should be. But you know, what I mean now, but they're doing stories of trans women, or even trans women and trans kids in high school, going into sports. I mean, you know what I mean? It's two sides. I guess you could do both, I guess, but they didn't really care about the trans people. They're doing more stories of trans sports. I mean, trans people in sports than people being harassed. They used to do a lot of trans stories, people being beat up. I mean, but now you notice that they're not doing any stories of that anymore. Even black people being killed by the cops. They're not, or beaten up by the cops. They're not doing that anymore. And Miss Dr. Richie still does that, so maybe that's why they don't. But yeah, still, even when Dr. Richie was doing the stories. They're doing his thing. They're still doing stories about black people and about the cops. But now they're doing propaganda, so it makes more sense. They're trying to favor the cops now.
Like, this whole situation just drip with, like, white guilt for privileged white people is the fact that, like, I can't stand this talking point. It drives me crazy. They're so detached from people who are economically disadvantaged that they
So you don't believe in white guilt? You shouldn't be guilty of anything, I guess. But you're so fragile, man. If anything bad, anything that's fragile. You guys are so fragile. This is definitely white fragility. He gets triggered by this story like this. I mean,
just assume that economically disadvantaged people act like animals. And that economically disadvantaged people, like, we should just give them a break because, of course, they act like animals. They're economically disadvantaged. Like, listen, when I was young, when I was in elementary school especially, my family was not doing well financially. It was a really difficult time. My dad lost his job. It was a struggle. Let's just put it that way. I knew the difference between right and wrong, and if I were bullying a student in class, there would be consequences not only with the school, but with my mother. Okay? Being economically disadvantaged doesn't mean that you get to skirt consequences for your actions. And so here, I'll give you an example. One of the staff members at the school said of the students who kept bullying the transgender students and getting away with it, I'm not saying that some of these students don't cause problems, but they are the ones who face the most social ills in society. They're the ones with a single mom working two jobs.
I'm not saying that. Also.
Taking care of their younger siblings. I don't care. If they're bullying other students to the point where those other students feel unsafe, it is important for the school to take action.
Yeah, I care and Anna cares in the context of if you want to get them more help in terms of
they're trying to study. I see what's going on. So maybe this student was a single, like he has a bad situation at home. I see why that's what they're saying. The staffer is saying, and they're trying to handle it like, you know what I mean? I mean, I see what they're doing now. And some of these kids are coming from a bad background, like bad home life, or they have bad parenting, right? And they're trying to figure it out, I guess. And it's difficult, I guess. That's what she's right though. Like they just I think the staffer is right. It's kind of difficult when the kids are, okay, she's bullying the trans people, but maybe the at-home situation is pretty bad. So it's kind of hard to figure out. You don't want to kick them out of school, though. That's the problem. Especially if it's a black or Latino. They kick them out of school and their bad home life. And they go, I don't know, they run away from home or whatever. And end up doing crime. They end up dropping out of school. We probably just suspend them, I guess. I mean, but if they don't want to, I mean, I guess so. You don't want to kick them out of school. I guess that's her answer. I guess. I mean, that'll be her answer. They don't really. I mean, they don't really care about minority kids, anyways. I mean.
Get a free lunch program, anything that's going to help them excel in school, we're all 100% in, right? But if you say, hey, because of that, they get to bully the trans kid, no, that's not how it works. That's just an excuse you're making. And so, guys, again, you need to be able to use independent judgment here. So can restorative justice work?
I mean, the thing is, okay, in some cases,
I think it can.
I don't.
Okay, so we can disagree about that.
You see, that's it. What? So why you want to kick them out of damn school then? You don't really care about minorities, black people, or Latinos. Anna, she just kicked them out of school. I mean, let's see what. So maybe the program has worked, but in this case, maybe it I mean, in some cases, probably. See, Cenk's saying that maybe it has worked. See, he's being reasonable. So you say they just kicked them out of school, and that's it. Black and Latinos, who cares? Kick them out of the damn school. let them whoever get killed and join and then they join a gang or whatever, drop out of school, who knows? And who cares? They just die in the friggin' damn street, I guess. Who cares, right? You're their white privileged self. Screw you.
But should you use it as a blanket thing in all cases? Of course not. It depends, doesn't it? So, for example, in this case, they bring the kids in, but since there's no threat of any punishment ever, sometimes the kids just bully the trans students again in the restorative justice program. And sometimes the counselors are on the side of the kids that are doing the bullying, and the trans students are like, how is this helping?
Bullshit.
The parents are furious.
I would be too.
They're like, what part of this is justice?
I'm going to forward this, folks. This is a long program. Let me forward this. I want to end this, because this is nonsense.
Big problem.
And then the same Title IX investigation found that Cunningham was the one who hired the two counselors. She was the one who was hired as the assistant superintendent of diversity, equity, and human resources. Well, it turns out Cunningham also had a problem because the investigation found that she created a culture of fear and intimidation at the school. Some staffers were frightened into silence by a fear of being labeled a racist, which was a tactic that she would use to silence people. Almost everyone the New Yorker spoke to believed that Mike Morris had failed to confront the problems at arms sooner out of precisely this fear. The sense I got was that once Mike realized that he didn't have the right person, meaning Cunningham, he didn't want to be perceived as being racist for dealing with her or having her removed, Ben Harrington said, which, if we're being honest, is actually kind of a racist viewpoint.
Yeah, that's the point I was going to make. So look, if you say, hey, I'm not going to hire someone because they're Black or Latino or fill in any other race, or I'm going to fire them because of that, you're a monster, you're ridiculous, you're stupid, and there should be consequences for that, right? But if you say, I am not going to fire someone, even though they're doing an objectively terrible job in dividing the community because they're Black and I'm afraid of being called racist, well, look, I don't want to say you're an idiot because I get it. People are, like these days, you can lose a job over it if people accuse you of racism, and even if it isn't true,
oh, it's garbage. You believe this? That's garbage, folks. I don't believe this. He's full of crap because he's racist. I don't believe that. You would actually believe that? I don't think they want to fire. I think it's bullshit. They probably didn't want to fire the person. They probably think they were really scared to being called a racist. I don't believe this.
People get riled up over it, right? But that is not the right way to go. Judge people on the content of their character. The whole point is do not discriminate against minorities and give them an opportunity to prove themselves. Don't just make blanket decisions based on their race. That's crazy. But once someone is doing a job, don't patronize people by going, oh, well, I mean, I might get called racist, or oh, I'm worried about somebody saying I'm racist, so I'm not going to do the right thing. I'm going to just keep an employee who's not teaching the students right, who's dividing the school, etc., because I'm worried I'm going to get called a racist. We've got to put an end to that nonsense.
I don't believe that. I don't believe this story. This story is bullshit. This story is bullshit. You know, this thing is bullshit, folks.
I'm going to do that kind of dirty tactics, like as it appears based on the story here,
and based on the investigation,
that Cunningham did. Well, then that person is driving racism, because that person is using racism as a shield against their wrongdoing, abusing the calling other people racist, which really hurts people who suffer from actual discrimination.
Nothing to do with racism. There's nothing to do with racism. This is nothing to do with nothing to do with racism. It's bullshit. It's not racism. Because she said she's scared of being called a racist. That's why. I mean, oh my God. This is just corruption. This is plain old corruption. It doesn't matter what race it is. This is just plain old corruption. It could be all white people. The same thing. They hire their own friends. It's nepotism. It's corruption. It's like patronism. They hire their own. I mean, you do me a favor, I'll do you a favor. There's nothing to do with race, in a sense. I guess because it's race, they're making a big deal about it. TYT, they're doing this reverse racism meme, and this nothing to do with. It's just a plain old corruption, folks. You know what? This is bullshit.
Absolutely.
Right? And it hurts the whole society because now everybody's is afraid of being called names. If it's one thing when it's just and you're doing something wrong and we've got to fix it, it's another thing when it's totally
We care about names. Oh my god.
unjust. And now everybody's panicked that there's going to be a witch hunt of you if someone mentions the word racist. It's not a get out of jail free card.
Yep.
And society should not treat it that way. You should adjudicate whether it's real or not real. If it's real,
Racism. So they're afraid, the white people, why are they afraid? Why is the white people afraid to be called racism? I mean, so I don't care what they say shit about me. I mean, why would you care? Oh my god, Anna, she cares about it, I guess. Somebody like her. I mean, why, I mean, I don't believe this. This story is kind of fishy. I mean, folks, this is fishy.
significant consequences. If it isn't real, significant consequences in the other direction. You're falsely throwing around racism, sexism, whatever it is, there's got to be consequences for that too. So
That's why they let her go. And I think they made the right decision. Stop wasting taxpayer money and playing with these kids' lives by...
Yeah, they fired her. That's good. They fired her, but because she's a terrible teacher. Nothing to do with her race. So she's black, but they're saying because it's racism. Because she wasn't fired because they're scared because of racism. That's what they're saying. So reverse racism. I mean, there's nothing to do with, it's all this is corruption, plain old corruption, folks. And it's DEI. See, everybody now they're against everybody's against DEI. I mean, but these guys are against DEI anyways. So anyways.
engaging in your cutesy little culture war games. Go do that in your own time. Go do it in your own home. I don't care. Don't do it with taxpayer money in an incredibly important environment of learning. Period. That's it.
And last thing I'll say from a perspective of a progressive as someone who's on the left.
Oh, let me see that. Really?
We are supposed to stand for justice, not injustice. And we're not supposed to stand for just different colors or different ethnicities or different groups. We're supposed to stand for equality and justice.
Anyways, I'm gonna end this garbage. Oh, this is garbage. It's bullshit. I don't care. You just don't care about you don't really care about justice. If it affects you guys. We don't really care, Cenk. But this thing is garbage. See, she was a bad administrator. That's what this. You should have fired her a long time then. That's the simple thing. Nothing to do with all this about race or identity politics. Nothing to do with that. They hired the one person that administrator was bad. We did hired all her friends. This is just plain old corruption. Nothing to do with DEI. This happened to be in a DEI. Happened to be in a DEI school. Whatever, right? But they hired the wrong person. Which was corrupt. They hired a corrupt person. It could happen to any, like a regular, without DEI. Like all white district. You could hire a teacher or you could do the same thing. You could hire friends. Hire your friends and family. You could do the same thing. Teach religion. These are the white schools. Or near the private schools. Or a public school. A private school, they could do what they want, I guess. But public school, they're teaching they're doing teaching religion. In the public school, they didn't look at the schools in the South, in the red states. I mean, that's the same thing. What's the big deal? God, this is DEI. There's a big deal, I guess. The big New Yorker doing a big thing about this. He's this New Yorker, this corporate media, which is conservative media. The corporate media is a conservative media, folks. But they're so-called liberal. They're not liberal. But this is bullshit. And then I'm going to end this. It's garbage. Now again, TYT shows it's they're not really for diversity. This is like it's a rando story. This is a really bad situation. So they fired the person. That was a problem. That's all they had to do. The one bad administrator. That's the problem. Was nothing to do with DEI. But DEI was involved with it. Anyways, folks, I'm out of here. It's garbage. Garbage. TYT. Garbage again.